Welcome, Raj, to the Next Step podcast.
And welcome, Soph, and welcome back to St Paul's on the staff team.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think we've kind of done this since you've been back, and last week you were sick, and welcome. It's great to have you back, Soph.
Thanks, Raj. It's great to be back. It's feeling very natural to just slot back in to things, but
Excellent.
also it's been different as well, so that's been good too.
And one of the things you've done is sort of, rebadge, and not just rebadge, but rethink how we do this podcast.
Yeah. I'm excited. There's a lot more coming of different topics, but today, Raj, we're going to be talking about the building project that's coming up, Building for Generations.
Yeah, very exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what are we building?
Well, look, God willing, God's in control of all things, and without His blessing and efforts, we can do very little. But God willing, we are hoping for a 2-story building that is connected intrinsically to the current facilities. And I think the best way to think of it, or one way to think of it, maybe not the best, would be to think if you're standing in the foyer at the moment you walk toward the car park and you go downstairs.
Yeah.
Imagine not walking downstairs but walking straight.
Okay.
And just walking straight, not falling off the edge, but walking straight into the upper level of the new complex that has a whole bunch of rooms. And I think I've worked out it's 2 stories, and the top level actually overhangs a section of the car park, and all up 1,400 square metres of space, and another auditorium of about 280 square metres in between the North Hall and the East-West Hall, 8 seminar rooms, other meeting rooms, staff offices. That's a smaller component in the whole thing. But really, I mean, that's what. But I'm more excited to talk about why.
Yeah, let's get into it.
And why really is, it's for generations. And we are beneficiaries of the facilities we have here at St Paul's. The foresight of people for 175 years, sandstone building, relocating, North Hall, a whole bunch of other things in between. And now we're looking to the future, and we're seeing, in fact, even now we're seeing more children come along. I'm told a few weeks back we had 30 children in the den.
Oh my goodness.
Plus leaders.
That is a small room.
It's a small room with a small kind of ceiling as well. And so really this is a infrastructure project so that the gospel base here at Carlingford, at St Paul's, can really go on into generations in the future.
Yeah.
We're talking 30 years, not 2 years. I mean, yes, 2 years as well.
Yes.
But it's also it's about 30 years in the future, so that we can see many more youth and children, but really all ministries, be able to function on this site. I was talking to a group of people recently just about one element of it. I think as our society's shifting, as houses are getting smaller, more people living in apartments, even finding space for growth groups to meet in is harder. This will give us another 8 to 10 rooms, in fact even more, for that to happen. And many churches are finding now growth groups meeting centrally on site. Youth, kids, it'll enable youth, if so desired at some point in the future, to split into 2 groups, junior, senior, or some variation of that. We have to stagger Ignite at the moment because of our facilities.
Yeah.
And
just a couple of weeks ago, I was, in the car park during Kids Holiday Club, because that was the only place that kids could play games. It's not like we have a excess of car spaces either. And here on a Sunday morning as well, I've got people in this office having a Bible study. This is a small space for that.
Space.
So we really need it.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's no secret to anyone. I think our morning church is at capacity.
Yeah.
And this will enable us more space, and there's a whole bunch of options we could then pursue about what the next step might be to start a second family congregation on this site.
Okay.
So they're things we can talk about and kind of see right now. But I'm really excited because, I don't think people 40 years ago could have thought about the shape of ministry for the gospel of Jesus today. And I think it's the same for us. In 20, 30, 40 years' time, I think I say this sometimes, I'll be in a retirement village somewhere or something, and I just can hardly wait, not so much to be in that retirement village, but to be able to look back and see the leadership in place here and the people here and see what does ministry look
continues.
like. And we know whatever ministry looks like, people are going to need space.
Yeah. Is it right to say, I've already gone off script, Raj, through the questions that I've given you, but is it right to say that the last building project was focusing on our main space for our Sunday services, and that this building project has more of a focus on other ministries, particularly our youth and kids? As its primary focus, there might be other things happening there too.
Yeah, that's right. And look, that was a deliberate decision from Gary Koo and Andrew Robson and many others 10 years ago to focus on the adult space. And it was always part of the plan, even they had way before my time, that we would need to come back and think about this very kind of thing. We do have the admin building now. It's where Bruce Hall used to live before it became offices, and the reality
Bruce
is
Hall being a ex-senior
a
pastor.
former senior pastor of St Paul's. He moved out, it became offices, and now, in fact, we invite anyone who wants a tour to come and have a look. It really is falling down. We've had it assessed, it needs $300,000 worth of repairs, no improvements, just repairs. And so it's timely for us to think about this building for generations project.
Yeah, agreed. Well, Raj, we're sort of at the stage in this project now where we're starting to get ready to share some more information with our church about what's coming. What can we expect over the next couple months? What sort of information might we be able to understand more about
thanks,
this project?
So great question. I'm very thankful. There have been many people beavering away in the background for 12 months or even more. We had the DA approved about 4 years ago now, so it has one more year to go, then it expires.
So we're on a bit of a time crunch here.
So we are on a bit of a time crunch. It can't be extended.
Right.
So we really are working to that. And beavering in a way, I think there's been 3 different streams kind of going. This is a bit of background to answer your question. One of those streams has been the design piece. And so we have commissioned what is called an early contractor involvement kind of program, which is being managed with by a builder at the moment. And we may or may not end up, with that particular builder, but they're helping us go through this process so that we can go through detailed design, managing to a cost.
Yep.
So that's what's happening right now. It's in quite advanced stages.
Right.
That's going on. We're developing a financial model as to how it might work. Di Swanton, one of our wardens, has been instrumental in that, and others. And then also we're having the whole fundraising kind of piece.
Okay, so just if I can recap what you've just said.
Yep.
We've gotten some experts involved who have done lots of projects and building and so forth, and we've had to sit down and think about the detailed design of the new build and gotten some expert opinions about things like timelines and functionality of space and cost estimates and some of the barriers or risks that might be involved as we keep moving forward, as well as some big thinking about the fundraising and the cost of all of this. Yep. And so now we've done a lot of work on that, and we're now getting ready to share some of this information.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So really the next phase, and some are quite aware of this already, in the next few weeks, we are setting up what we're calling Building for Generations chats. And I would like to encourage every single person across St Paul's to register for one of these chats. These chats, it's kind of an hour or something like that, and really it's an opportunity to hear more about the vision for the project. We have almost now developed a detailed brochure to explain the project, including the costing side of it, how we see it working. One of the really exciting things, we've got all of the approvals. Just under 80% of this project is tax deductible. So that'll be of great help to many, many people. So the chat process is where we're going to sit down with people. We've asked a whole bunch of people to host these. I think over 100 people have said yes so far, and more.
Great.
If you're thinking about it, please say yes. We just want you to really facilitate a conversation.
Okay.
We appreciate people don't have all of the answers necessarily.
Or none of the answers.
Or none of the answers. But we have Almost Finished now is a website with lots of FAQs. There's this brochure that's about to go to print. And this chat process is where we want people to spend just a little bit of time also turning to God in prayer and understanding the project, understanding more about what, God willing, we're planning to build, and then how people can be involved.
Great.
Space for questions, lots of space for prayer. So that we're gonna ask people to register for those really between now and mid-August.
Right. So the chats are primarily for the purpose of discovering and unpacking all the information together, and the hosts aren't necessarily leading or presenting.
No.
They're just sort of taking people's questions down for somebody else to answer and just kind of going through the information with the group.
It's a way to help one another be on the journey.
Great.
And some people have been on the journey for some time. I have people coming up to me at church, saying, where are we up to? It's really exciting. But we fully appreciate, for a lot of people, even though the plans have been in the foyer, now's the time to go on this journey and understand, ask questions. Pretty much everyone who has really come to the conclusion this is such an exciting opportunity, and has shared the conviction that I have and many others have, parish council staff, that we should do all that we possibly can to take hold of the opportunity while it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the chat process.
Okay.
They're going to happen sort of late August to early October, informally, a whole bunch of different kind of times. We will have some central Q&As. We will have some central sessions as well. We have possibilities. Sydney Anglican Property, they're really excited about this project.
Okay.
We could ask our architect to come along. Partly we want to see what questions come out.
Sure.
And just help people. So we will have some of those, and then we move into term 4, and we will then shift modes once again.
Okay.
And we're leading up to Commitment Sunday, which is the 22nd of November.
Okay.
Where we're asking the people of St Paul's to prayerfully, having understood the project, understood why it's important to build for generations, then to bind together in exactly the same way as this church did for the North Hall project, so that we can then press go.
Wonderful. So really, the hope here is that we do the information, question gathering, clarity piece first, and then moving on to the fundraising, coming together to help make this building project happen.
That's exactly right.
That sounds great.
I should have said that. That's good.
Well, there you go. What, Raj, are you most excited for in this building project?
Yeah, look, I've had lots of time to think about that. Just, I guess, in my particular role as senior pastor, in many ways it does, in a sense, fall to me, and I'm a bit of a driver for it. I could talk about the bricks and mortar, Soph, and, there's something about construction that for some people is exciting, and, we see it happening with the Meriton site and others. But what's really, really exciting for me, it's the vision of reaching more people for Jesus and the opportunities this will open up. I was walking around here just a couple of weeks back. We had 200 kids on site for Kids Holiday Club. I was talking to Mark the other day. Salt went back the other night. He told me 4 new people came on Friday night.
Cool.
And that just happens regularly. And Kids Holiday Club, I just was walking around on the last day talking to families. We've just had Super Sunday. And we think we had, between Morning Church and Mandarin Church, something like 10 new families come along, 8 to 10 new families, some of them connected to Kids Holiday Club, some not. And, each one of these precious people, I think of Jesus' words in Mark 10, let the little children come to me. And so what I'm excited about is the increased capacity we will have to see generations of people coming to Christ. And some of those, it's a deliberately ambiguous term, generations.
Yeah.
So yes, it's about generations now.
As in like adult, kid.
Adult, youth, kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's about that now. But it's also about generations into the future.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. This is not a project for our own comfort. This is a project to to increase our capacity and ability to share Jesus with more people.
I love that. That's so exciting to think about.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Not many people might know this, but I was part of the design team that helped think through the layouts and the plans. And as I was talking with Sarah and Mark and everybody, we were talking about the different ways in which they might plan to use these spaces in the future. And I was getting really excited because I was thinking about it. We have less spaces for kids and youth now than we had when I was a kid in this building.
Is that so?
Because back then...
We haven't had this conversation.
I know. Well, I should have told you this earlier. Back then, we were having church in the East-West Hall, which was bigger than it is now because we've added storage cupboards and the bathrooms weren't there before, so they took up a bit of space. But the North Hall was a kid's space, and it was a pretty large room. It was larger than the East-West Hall is now. So we had that space. We also had an outdoor courtyard that was probably a bit similar to the courtyard size now, but then we also had additional grass area for running around and playing games. We had the admin building, which was in a much better state than it is now. We had the den, and we had downstairs. So we actually had more space and spaces that weren't as old or run down back then when I was a kid than we do now, even though we have way more kids and people at our church.
Very interesting.
So I'm just so excited that we finally can have these spaces to do these ministries in a way that just includes everybody and actually allows us, frees us to do ministries that we didn't actually know how to do before because we just didn't have the spaces.
And it's also true, I think, over the years, things have changed, people talk to me about the 1960s and 70s, before your time, and some of that's before my time. And it used to be the case you could just have hundreds of kids in a space. But things have changed. Schools now don't operate like that. Preschools, there's ratios you need to have, there's safety issues. We have had the privilege of custom designing these spaces that work for all of those reasons. And we talk about kids and youth, but I'm also excited about the possibilities. Some people are quite aware if you try to get a room booking at St Paul's right now, it can be quite challenging.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but that's what we've got.
Yeah.
These spaces will mean more ministries can happen, and I'm sure will enable more creativity and more prayer to the Lord for whatever future generations may need to hear about Jesus.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's so exciting. I can't wait. Raj, we've talked about a lot of things already, but I think one question I just want to finish us on. The last couple of weeks we've been doing a relationship series in church. We've been talking about uniting together under Christ. We've been talking about being patient with one another, bearing with one another. What do you think it would look like for us as a church to be united under Christ and doing this project, this building project? What would it look like, do you think, in the coming months or even in the next, year or two? What would it look like to be patient and loving and united together as a church?
Yeah, thanks, Soph. Look, I've loved doing this series, and, we have a little thing internally, we call it the preaching captain. And that's the person who sort of designs the series and thinks about how it's all going to kind of fit together. For this series, that's been me. And what strikes me on this topic of relationships in the body of Christ, it's about the manner in which we relate to one another. I think this is why it's quite different church life to a secular organisation or someone, where someone's employed in an organisation where there is an end, someone's employed to do a thing. But the relational dimension is not quite so significant. I mean, it is significant, but in a church, it's almost like what the Bible's saying. It's like the relational ends of working together and bearing with one another and forgiving one another and being reconciled to one another. The Bible holds those things up perhaps even more so than the things we're doing together. So I apply that to the pathway ahead on this project. And I think it's just the case in life, and be it family life or individuals, when lots of things are happening, when there's lots of moving parts, we're in a sinful world, we're impacted by sin, and so the potential for people to become impatient, I include myself in this, with so many moving parts, impatient with one another, or just on edge a bit. And so I think we really do have the opportunity to bear with one another, in whatever case that might look like. Because right now as a church, we're leaning into a period where this is a significant project. We've gone through this before with the North Hall, so we've seen how the Lord works. But I think that's what I want to hold up more than anything else.
Yeah.
And some might be surprised about that. Raj, here's an opportunity for you to talk about the need for fundraising. And yeah, all of that's true. But I think the even higher biblical priority is how it is we relate together.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of questions, and I appreciate lots of different people are at different points on the journey. Also, just acknowledge, some people will look at it all and for whatever reason decide, no, they don't think we should go down this path. And I just want to say to those of you out there, I haven't met too many in that category, but but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And it's true that so many people across our church are excited, and so even we design, different people look at different things. What about this? What about that? And I think what we can say is we have gone through extensive processes with our architects and builders and design team and users. And it's been eye-opening for me just to understand behind the scenes the compromises that have to happen in reality from a whole range of reasons. So, I want to encourage people, kick up the good ideas, or even just ideas for consideration, but also appreciate there's so many considerations that need to
absolutely
head together.
Yeah.
I think it's an example of bearing with each other.
Yeah, that sort of graciousness
Yeah.
to giving people the benefit of the doubt here. And that doesn't mean that people can't have questions or concerns.
Yeah, we want to encourage that because
absolutely.
we know that's really important.
Yeah, but this is such a wonderful opportunity for us to band together, and there's so much to be excited about and look forward to. Yes, there'll be challenges, but what an amazing, incredible opportunity that we have.
Even during construction, I get this question occasionally now, will we have access to the site? What won't we? And look, the answer on the whole is yes, we keep using the site during construction, but there are a few spaces we won't be able to use. And, I think the office, the admin buildings will be the first to come down, the den, so we're going to have to work out what we do and just how we graciously help one another in that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, looking forward to hearing more information about the building project in the months to come. Thank you, Raj, for sharing a bit more about it for us.
Pleasure.
Thanks. Well, welcome Naomi and Raj to the Next Step podcast studio.
Welcome, Soph. Great to be here. And Naomi, great to be here with you. I think we're sharing this.
Yeah, this is my first time, so I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having
Welcome.
me.
Thank you for squeezing into this tiny little room.
Like
Making
an
it work.
initiation ceremony for first times.
Yeah. Well, I should do one for myself because this is only my second episode, so it's a rough start. No, it's a good start. We're going to be diving into the relationship series that we've been doing at church. We haven't had heaps of questions come in yet, so let me serve this as a reminder to those to send your questions in for next week. So we just love to talk a little bit about the relationship series so far. Raj, you are the series captain for this series.
I am.
Can you just really briefly explain what is a series captain and what does that
Yeah. So in each series we do at St Paul's, we have one of our team acts as series captain, and really the idea of that series captain is to provide a bit of an overview, to put some thought into how it's going to work together, how it's going to hold together, how it's going to complement, what are some of the opportunities for other elements that we might do. So that's sort of the idea, and I think when we do an exegetical series like Exodus, or we're coming up to 1 Corinthians, that in a sense takes a slightly different shape because it is exegetical. It comes more to the fore, I think, when we have a topical series or a doctrinal series like this one, to think about what are the different elements, how are we going to teach those things, how's it all going to hold together. Yeah, so that's the idea of a series captain, as we call it.
Great.
Would it be helpful if I just outline how I've seen this series working at that level?
That would be great. And also let us know what you've taken away personally from that process.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me start on just, there's been 5 weeks in the series. And so week 1 was looking at the joy of relationships that God has created. As way back in Genesis, it mirrors the Trinity, the Trinitarian relationships. Then week 2 moved to just looking at the reality, really leaning into Genesis 3 and seeing how Genesis 3 has fractured our world and fractured relationships. Now, there's a kind of a connection here with one of the things that really struck me, which was then the leap in from Genesis 3 to James chapter 4. Mm-hmm. What causes quarrels and fights among you? Mm. And it then talks about the desires that are battling within us.
Okay.
I really was quite humbled, by that, and even just to think about that for myself and how that works out. But that's just interesting, our relationships now and the quarrels and fights we have. I think I use the kind of illustration, pointing one finger at someone else means you have 3 pointing back at you. Now I've got feedback from, I think, wow people that was a new kind of expression, a good expression. And in a sense, that's what James 4 is kind of saying. We then move, though, week 3 to talking about the importance of reconciliation. Ephesians 2 was the passage we came to. Now, I was down to preach. I got quite sick, so I'm very thankful, and I'm sorry to you, Soph, because Pip jumped in to preach at the last minute. Jacob preached as well in a few congregations. Ephesians 2, it talks about, first half is about vertical reconciliation between us and God, and that then provides an imperative for what I and others call horizontal reconciliation with each other. Week 4 was about encouragement, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24-25. We had Super Sunday at morning church, so we didn't get to do it, but I'm thrilled Naomi's here because she did a spot at Arvo and Night Church that was brilliant. Pete preached, so looking forward to hearing some of that. And then the final week's this coming week, which is about reconciliation. Forgiveness and reconciliation, looking particularly at Matthew chapter 18, and appreciate your prayers for this because this is challenging. But I'll say that for next week.
What have you taken away personally from this, Raj?
Look, personally, I think two things come to mind. One is what I was just saying about James chapter 4 and the reality that it's things going on within us that cause fights and quarrels, and we should look firstly at ourselves. Right. I include myself in that. Yeah. We're very quick to, maybe it's just me, very quick to point the finger and blame others.
Or see it in others, I guess, yeah.
See it in others. I did this because they did that. If they didn't do this, I wouldn't have. And we can go through that kind of process. And I think the other thing, and I mentioned this when we were talking before about buildings and our Building for Generations projects, the Bible holds up our relational harmony together as a very high priority. In the Lord's Prayer, it talks about forgiveness. Forgive us our sins as we have forgiven others. That's held up as a thing in a way that, when you work for a company or involved in a secular organisation, it's more about the outcome. It's not so the relational dimension, but in God's economy, He sent His Son to die so that we can have our relationship with Him restored. It's a high priority. And I wonder sometimes if, for us, again, I include myself, it's not as high a priority as it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the two things.
Thanks, Raj. I might ask you to pass your mic to Naomi. Raj already shared that you had the opportunity at afternoon church and night church on Sunday to share a little bit about specifically what it would look like to encourage one another.
Yeah.
You talked about how sometimes our language or the terms that we're using might actually be more might not be as expanded, or we might be a little bit hindered in our language as we approach that. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think I've been pondering this for a little while. I think just in general, our literacy is reducing. I mentioned on Sunday about the fact that we like to snack on media now, so lots of shorts and flicking through Instagram and all of those things that we like to spend our kind of downtime as such doing. Short stories, illustrated texts are becoming much bigger in schools than actually getting into full novels. And so I think just in general, our literacy around how to express our emotions is probably reducing. But more than this, some of you might know that I've been at college this year starting to study, and I did church history last semester, and learning about the Puritans, who are some Christians a fair while ago, who really wanted to hold to the gospel truths and remind each other of those all the time. The language that they use in their devotionals and in their poetry, the ways that they can describe God is very similar to the Psalms, and just that real emotive language of genuinely understanding their relationship with God and the depth that holds, and also just their joy of heaven and what is to come.
Yeah.
And so I think that just reminded me that the Bible is really rich in its language of how it describes our God, how it describes his relationship with the Son and the Spirit, how it describes how we can relate to him and have full trust in him. And so I think my encouragement is go back to the Bible. If you're interested in looking into some devotions, expand your language about how we can actually describe our emotions, and then that will start to overflow, hopefully, in the way that we talk to each other.
Yeah, definitely. I know when I read some of those Puritans as well, their joy is almost infectious, which I guess definitely connects with that idea of encouraging one another. The language that we use can have a deep impact on other people.
Yeah, and I think we don't actually think about what comes out of our mouth as much as we probably should, because there's so many ways that you can just interact quickly online or shoot a quick text message off rather than actually sitting. And I think the thing that Pete brought out on Sunday, that we actually need to listen first and then speak. And so I think in the listening, you can have the ability to work out what are the most encouraging words to give in that situation too.
So true. Naomi, would you be able to give our listeners just a piece of advice, a top tip about how they might practically encourage one another more?
I think having an attitude that wants to and giving it a go. I said on Sunday, we often think we've got to be really great at things before we even try, but we don't. And so even if you feel like you need to have in your mind what you want to say before you go walk up to the person and say it, try it with your friends first, and try it with someone who's comfortable and safe, and then step out from there. But I think give it a go and see that it actually fills you up as much as it's going to fill the other person up to do it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Naomi. I might go back to Raj now. As we head to the end of our series, we've still got a bit to go, but if people are in and out or they have bad memories, what's the one big takeaway you want people to have from this series?
I think it's what I said before, actually. I talked about two things that have impacted me, and it's the second. That having relational forgiveness and reconciliation, they're two slightly different things, with brothers and sisters in the body of Christ. It's not an optional extra in the Christian life. It springs from what Jesus has done for us. And it's very easy in our world. If we don't get on with someone, we avoid them. I heard someone just the other day, actually, they'd been avoiding someone and they just ran into them accidentally and it was all a bit awkward. You can do that in the world. In a large church like St Paul's, you can do that.
True.
You know, you can sit on the other side or whatever. But I think I just want to hold up the beauty of God has given us relationships, not just for our sake, it's a reflection of his Trinitarian being. And they work in unity. They have different functions, but they work together in unity. They're the same but distinct. And, you know, the Bible talks about Christians being unified, not uniform. That's different. We have different gifts, but we're working together for the same ends. And we come at the feet of Jesus together.
Yeah.
Revelation 7, we're not going to come to Revelation 7 in this series so much, but it's this grand picture of the end time where people are gathered around the throne of Christ in unity. And there's distinction because you can recognise the different people groups, but it's the forgiveness that Jesus gives that really transcends everything. So the one takeaway, I think I just want to hold up to people, you know, that theological principle. And it's not just a theological principle for the head. It's something that we each, and myself included, we can grapple very, very, you know, deeply with. And then James 4 comes back in, the desires we have and so on. And so, you know, this is about the title of the series, Relationships, a Mess Worth Making. And I've got that from Paul Tripp's book. I'm thankful to Mark Taylor who put me on to Paul Tripp's book. I've got that book at home. I've read most of it now.
It's on the bookstall.
It's on the bookstall. We've got that in. You can get it on, you know, Kindle or ebooks or whatever. That's what I want to hold up to people. The outworking of the gospel of what Jesus has done. It impacts our mind and our heart, and then our action toward other people.
For such a relational God we have, it makes sense that both our human relationships and relationship with God should be a high priority for us. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Raj and Naomi, for coming on the Next Step podcast.
Thanks, Soph.
Thank you.